Night 2 of the first Democratic debate is in the books, so let's talk about with my guest tonight, former Ambassador Dr. Suzan Johnson-Cook and Democratic strategist Kevin Walling. You can guess which one's Suzan and which one's Kevin. Up late with me on the Final Five. Good to have you both in.
Thank you.
We've had Kevin here before. This is your first time, and you came in late. You watched part of the debate here tonight. I'm curious, what's your first takeaway from what you saw?
Well, there's a song that said, "It's ladies' night, oh, what a night." I think Kamala was the lady tonight.
Not Marianne Williamson?
No, not at all. But she was strong. She was strategic. She knew that Biden was a front runner, and she was like, I've got to take him on. You can't be thin-skinned tonight. Let's give it everything you've got, and she did.
What about you, Kevin? Who was the big standout tonight?
I couldn't agree more with the ambassador. I think Kamala Harris had an incredible night. I think Joe Biden held his own.
He did.
Despite the attacks from Bernie Sanders, from Senator Harris. But I think you had Eric Swalwell trying to compete for time on the end.
Yeah.
I think he's not ready for prime time. It's time to get him off the stage. And I'm more focused. I want to see those 10 top contenders on that stage and get the rest of them off.
Right. There were a whole lot not ready for prime time.
Amen.
That's the other thing. So you had the torch holder, and you had the ones trying to take the torch, and some of them just aren't ready for torch taking.
We played that clip of Bernie Sanders, and he got the first question. Savannah Guthrie asked him, are the middle class going to pay more taxes? And he went through, he had the speech ready to go, and he didn't get the answer. They pushed him a little more.
Yeah.
Finally said, yes, they will pay more in taxes. But this is a Democratic debate. Does that sort of line, saying that, does that hurt him at all in the future?
I don't know if it hurts him. I think what I saw most of all with Bernie was that he is really old. I mean, we were talking about the torch, but there's also when the torch goes out. And I think tonight he took a long time to get his answers out, and he was a little emotional. I think tonight you wanted to have strength, and you want to have people who could get their message out in their 45 seconds.
When you talk about age, though, so you have President Trump, who will be 74 on Election Day, Joe Biden, who will be 78, and Bernie Sanders isn't much older than that. We already have the oldest president ever elected.
Yeah.
Age nowadays, is it a factor now than what it was years ago?
I mean, I think it's all how you feel, right? So now when you see Joe Biden on the stump, he is running on stage to combat any idea that he's getting old. But again, I think he's going to compete everywhere. I was up there in Philadelphia for his kickoff. He was strong. He was filled with energy. But again, he at Jim Clyburn's Fish Fry down in South Carolina last weekend, he was the last candidate to leave at 1 a.m.
Exactly.
So I think it's less of a factor than it was before when it was Ronald Reagan and folks in the past.
And what you see in him actually is the statesman, the elder statesman. So it's not like he looks old. He is the elder statesman, and so you see experience rather than age.
Amen.
We always talk about the debates, and you mentioned Swalwell, Marianne Williamson, who was there, I guess.
She was not there for some time, I think, mentally.
Yeah.
There were other candidates who were out there on the stage who you can argue at some point, maybe not now, or maybe in a Democratic administration could play a role. Was there anybody out there tonight that would fill that role? Maybe not ready for the presidency in 2020, but maybe down the road.
I'm mayor of Indiana.
Yeah, Pete Buttigieg had, I think, a pretty strong night. His answer on gun violence, on the shooting that happened in South Bend was, I think, really strong.
And taking
compassionate.
ownership.
Taking ownership. My charge is to John Hickenlooper. Please leave this race and run for the U.S. Senate against Cory Gardner in Colorado. You have a lot of people on the stage this night, that should drop back and run for Senate.
Well, speaking of Senate, though, do you think some of those who are senators who are running need to fight for their Senate seat and stay there?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I think most of them come from pretty safe seats in terms of New York, California, but I'd love to see John Hickenlooper run. I'd love to see Beto O'Rourke step back and run for Texas, turn Texas blue, and maybe have a career, to your point, down the line for president.
Okay, so last night, we're not really getting into last night, but everybody had said really it looked like Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, Julian Castro were the big winners last night. As you look at tonight,
I would throw Bill de Blasio in there.
Really?
Actually, he stood his own.
Ambassador's a New Yorker.
I'm a New Yorker. But he was
Yorker.
strong, particularly on immigration, and I think we have to look at that. The immigration issue is something that all of them have to really fight for, because now we're seeing people dying, crossing the rivers. But we're also seeing, the caging of families. I think everyone has to take that on and cannot deny it.
All right, almost out of time. I want to ask you both here. Who do you think next time these candidates meet will be the end of July in Detroit? Who do you think the first candidate will be who may not make it from that debate to this debate?
From this previous
debate?
Tonight, Marianne Williamson is out. Andrew Yang is out. Eric Swalwell is out. Get him off the stage.
I second that emotion.
That's
not
ready
another
for prime
song.
time.
Not ready yet.
Well, thank you both for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Suzan Johnson-Cook, Kevin Walling, great to see you, my friend.
Good to see you.
Back after this in the Final Five.
Then you're left in unless I stuck by